My friends, I don't want to waste time with the intro. We're here to discuss the 5 things we learned in yesterday's win against Leicester, and I'll be talking about Nicolas Jackson, Joao Felix, Enzo Fernandez, plus a lot more. So I hope you guys enjoy. Share your thoughts and opinions, and show us some love and hit that like button too. So without wasting any more time, for the first thing we've learned, Nicolas Jackson is proving the doubters wrong. Now, from being unfairly treated as one of the clowns of the Premier League last season, for a player that was under much scrutiny and harsh criticism from pundits, former players, and his own fan base, Nicolas Jackson is making a lot of men now eat their words this season, and he is finally getting his due flowers. The opening goal he scored against Leicester now makes that 7 goals for the season. He now has 10 goal contributions, 7 goals and 3 assists. And for myself, he was very unfortunate to not record an assist bare minimum against Leicester yesterday, as Maresca was not able to convert with his weaker foot from that brilliant Nico cross with his left foot. But it just feels like everything Nico does now, he has that golden touch. Even when he's not necessarily scoring, his shots, his attempts, they led towards rebounded efforts for his teammates. You saw Palmer Maresca's little fumble, not converting from Nico opening his body up to try and hit that ball on the far side bottom post. And of course, his header, excellent cross from Cucurella, rebounded off the goalkeeper to then find Enzo Fernandez with the rebound. So he was at the heart. All things good we did in yesterday's game. But to be honest, for a lot of us, it's no real surprise that Nicolas Jackson now is showcasing this form and ability. Even though we had some scoring issues last season, very understandable reasons too, coming to a new league, new country, new everything. You felt that promise in his game based on how multi-dimensional his threat is. Nicolas Jackson is more than just scoring goals. How many strikers can say that? He can drop deep. He can support the play off the ball with runs made in the channels. His pressing off the ball as well, so his combination plays, his quick feet, his dribbling. He is a multi-purpose, multi-dimensional threat, and this makes him a pretty unique player in the league. Reports came out before the Leicester game to suggest that we see Nicolas Jackson as one of the top 3 strikers in the league. You'd probably look at players like Haaland and Isak being just ahead of him, but that speaks volumes about the ability that Nico has. He's now scored his 20th goal for the club. He's now scored more goals than Hernan Crespo and Fernando Torres, players that came for a lot more money at the time. But for me, what I find very interesting about Nico's game this season is that if you compare his stats from last season and this season, there's barely any strong differences really, and the improvements are very minute at this point in time. For myself, it's the intangibles in Nico's game that are now shining through, and that's more the mental side. That's his temperament. That's the confidence he has in these areas now. I felt like last season was the educational season for Nico to just, understand the league, his teammates, his environment. Now he's clocked that. Now he's understood that. Now we're seeing the confidence that he has in his game. And I think this was reflected in Nico's post-match interview, where when asked about his scoring form this season, he quickly downplayed anything and simply said, listen, I'm here for my teammates. I'm simply doing a job. And that's the most important thing. Nico doesn't feel like he has to be excited about his scoring form because he's always had that confidence in his game. We've seen that from last season when he even came out to back himself publicly in press interviews. For Nicolas Jackson, he's just showcasing what he's always known he's always had, and he was waiting for all of us to get up to speed now to clock the player he actually is. The goal he scored, great opening goal. It was Drogba-esque, and one of the things I was impressed with in Nico's game yesterday was how he carried himself physically in the game. Now, of course, he forced the error. Nico gets his frame in front of the ball, forces the mistake. Of course, the ball finds itself to Enzo at speeds, away from Macaulay, and the second touch, quick finish away from the keeper. A keeper Nico says that he respects and knows is very good, and he said in his interview he had to take that shot early if he wanted any chance to score that goal. It was a beautiful technical goal, and it was a goal that Nicolas Jackson has single-handedly created through sheer will, desire, and physicality. At the moment, he is the #1 striker for us. And in a way, it was quite good for him that we didn't sign another striker. For everything that he learned last season, it would have been great for his development if he was now playing back up to an Osimhen or another striker that we had signed. So Nicolas Jackson, of course, happy for this kid. He's doing really well, and he's showcasing that there's even more to come from him as he gets closer to hitting his prime in his career. So my friends, Nicolas Jackson is making all the haters now eat that humble pie. And now for the second thing we've learned, Benoit Badiashile showcased what he's about. Now, it was a game full of first starts of the season, and it was a game where opportunities weren't wasted or taken lightly, and Benoit made sure that he left that game giving something for Enzo Maresca to now think about. If you look at his heat maps, you can see how dominant he was playing as that wide centre back in our makeshift back three, which we tend to use when we have our build-up. Look how concentrated those red zones are. And in a way, this is Benoit playing in his optimum best position, showcasing what he can do if he's allowed the opportunities to get minutes playing this role. Benoit was so important for us in the build-up. I mean, he had the most touches out of any player yesterday, 114 touches, 92 out of 103 passes attempted. He completed 6 out of 9 long balls. I have to say, one thing I've really enjoyed this season is the fact that finally our centre-backs are allowed to showcase their passing range over distances. We've signed a lot of great defenders who can play exquisite balls over distances, and it's only this season they're allowed to showcase that skill. Yesterday he got 4 interceptions, and they were so crucial because it showcased how he was one step ahead of Leicester in that game. He was constantly nullifying counter-attacks, because when Benoit can be proactive when he defends, when he's allowed to leave his defensive lines to engage further up the field, close down plays, close down danger, this is when he's at his best optimum level defending in this manner. He still has to improve when he's maybe keeping his positioning. I feel at times he's too susceptible to balls over the top or in behind, but unfortunately for Benoit, he hasn't had the consistency with minutes to iron out those small deficiencies. If he was playing week in, week out, he'd be at a much higher level right now, and I think yesterday's game showcased what he could be if he's given more opportunities. I was really impressed by his ability to just constantly carry the ball into midfield time and time again. He was constantly switching and changing the angles and directions of attacks by playing those switch balls down the right hand side, but most importantly, his ability to just punch those passes between the lines time and time again, playing excellent line breaking passes, finding Cucurella wide on the left, Felix, or players in central areas. I thought this was a very impressive performance, and as I said, it's a type of performance now where Maresca will have something to seriously consider, because that makeshift back three of Benoit, Cole and Fofana, that does make quite a bit of sense right now. For the third thing we've learned, we must discuss yesterday's man of the match game from Enzo Fernandez. In the last 3 games, he's now recorded 5 assists, and I don't want to say it, but it's funny that his recent upturn in form kind of coincides with him maybe getting more clarity now in his personal life. Listen, I'll let you guys extrapolate what you want to from what I've said. I don't want to get into that, but currently we are seeing an Enzo Fernandez now that is starting to reach that top form that we know he's always had. Yesterday, 1 goal, 1 assist, 3 key passes, 1 big chance made, 2 out of 5 long balls made as well, 7 out of 9 ground duels, 5 tackles won. He won the most tackles out of any player on that field yesterday, constantly dispossessing Leicester in their own half with his counter presses time and time again. It was an all-action midfield performance. It was a type of game that encapsulates Enzo Fernandez at his very best, in my opinion. If you look at the heat maps, again, the red zones highlight how involved he was in all aspects of our midfield. You're seeing red concentration areas deeper, central, and out wide. And in these areas, when Enzo dropped deeper, he'd be in the build-up phase alongside Caicedo. In the central areas, he'd be facilitating the play, playing passes to find forwards ahead of him. And when he moved to the right side, From there, he could demonstrate one of the key aspects of Enzo's game yesterday, and that's the threat that Enzo can show off the ball, and not just exclusively on the ball. Off the ball, I was very impressed by everything Enzo did. I was impressed with his defensive positioning. He was in the right areas to crunch with tackles, to dispossess, to stop counterattacks. Of course, to win advantage and turnovers in Leicester's half. He was there. Off the ball, he was making inverted runs in behind and overlaps out wide with Noni Madueke, and most importantly, he was finding himself in that Leicester City box, and this is why he got the assist, and this is why he got the goal. I've been saying Enzo Fernandez, for me at heart, is a classic box-to-box midfield player, and I think under Enzo Maresca, hopefully this will be the season he can really unlock and showcase everything that he is fully about. Now Enzo, the only thing I need to see an improvement from in Enzo is how he sets himself up to take shots. Obviously Lampard is one of the very best I've seen ever at doing that. So good in fact that he made me think that this was a very easy part of the game. It definitely isn't. And I think Enzo has the capability to get more goals outside the box and contribute with more goals for the team, because he's showcased this when he hasn't been playing for his football club, and he has the technique in his locker. I'm hoping that as the season goes on, he will really demonstrate that he's able to set his body up to take these shots, to bring a new dimension for this team. But I have to say, the last 3 games, Enzo has been an absolute fire. He's been making things happen for us. He seems to be confident. He seems to be fit. And right now, are we seeing the real Enzo Fernandez? It's looking exciting for sure. The 4th thing we've learned is Joao Felix our answer to unlocking defensive teams. Now, he was another player to profit from making his first start of the season, and I have to say he did not disappoint. One of the key parts of his game yesterday was his dribbles that open up the game, his close controls which brought more unpredictability to this team. Enzo Maresca did a bold thing yesterday, another tactical tweak none of us really expected. Yesterday, we saw Cucurella holding the flanks down the left side. We saw Felix in that left half space. We saw Palmer as a 10 at times. We saw Enzo Fernandez in the right half space and Noni Madueke holding the width down the right hand side. Enzo Maresca created the perfect conditions that Felix needs to really showcase his game. He's not an out and out winger, he's not an out and out striker. He is someone that's all about his combination plays and feel with his teammates. And yesterday, he really showcased the desire and his ability in that game. Another big thing with Felix was his willingness to engage defensively off the ball. It's been one of the biggest weaknesses held against him for many years in his career. He has showcased that he can defend, he can press, but there has been an inconsistency with his application time and time again. But yesterday there was no faulting him and his endeavors. As we could see with the stats, 9 out of 14 ground duels. This guy was sliding on the floor. This guy was going on 20, 30-yard runs just to engage and help support Cucurella. 3 tackles won from Joao Felix. That's crazy. Performance. I think that's a very fair word to describe his game yesterday. Not outstanding, very promising, very effective performance. He helped create that balance that's needed. And if he wants to play in this team more, if he wants to maybe force Maresca to consider having an overlapping left back now to allow him to occupy that left half space, those inner interior channels, he must showcase that willingness and desire, of course, to engage off the ball. And if he keeps that up, who knows if we could finally be the answer to the team, which can allow us to have more of that offensive 8 profile that I think can be a good weapon to have against these teams that just want to sit back and play without the ball. Maresca has revealed in multiple press conferences over the last few weeks that he does see Felix and Palmer playing together. And that makes sense, because if Felix will be more of that playmaker, support-like player who can facilitate play, this can allow your Cole Palmers, Maduekes and Nicos to be the ones who can crash the books and convert these opportunities. But anyway, there's a lot more to come from Felix, but he has to get credit for the performance he put in yesterday, because it's that unpredictability, it's that natural skill, it's his problem solving in tight areas, his 2-footed play. That is a weapon that could really add to the team. We've seen promise from many players this season. Neto, Sancho, Mudryk, all of them. No one's held down that left flank exclusively just yet. Time will know if anyone ever will do that, or maybe Maresca might just continue to tinker depending on the opposition we play against, which, to be honest, I'd be more than fine with. Anyway, that's the type of Felix performance that I'm excited to see more of. Great game from him. And to end things with the final thing we've learned, I feel like it's time that Madueke starts to get credit for how he helps the team. Yesterday was a game full of moments. Madueke, a disallowed goal, finishes not taken, and of course, a part he played in denying us getting the second goal sooner in the game. It's a game you finish and all you can do is laugh and smile in the end. And for myself, I feel like Madueke can feel justified with his moods after that game. He provided a great balance for this team on and off the ball, and I feel like Madueke's game and how he helps the team is starting to supersede his need to have to only get goals and assists per game. I feel like it's quite unfair that if he's not contributing with goals or assists, his entire performance is kind of just getting dismissed. And a lot of people are kind of being negative, suggesting that he should be out the team, he's not good enough, sell him, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why every single season we need to find a scapegoat, and it's forever people getting things wrong and just creating this negativity for no reason. Yesterday, I felt like his highlight reel wouldn't do full justice to the game he put in for the team. You're looking at 2 out of 4 dribbles, 5 out of 9 ground deals, you know? One of the reasons why I got to give Noni credit is that he's playing a different role now down the right-hand side. He doesn't have Cole Palmer playing with him exclusively. Noni was really benefiting from Palmer releasing him early and behind time and time again. Now Noni's game is a lot more different. Now Noni doesn't have as much space to run into. He was getting a lot of credit at the start of the season, but that kind of coincided with the fact that Noni was able to go on 30, 40, 50-yard runs at times. And when Noni builds momentum in his runs, you can't really stop him. That mixture of pace and physicality and skill and technique is very hard to stop when Noni is in full momentum. But now that Maresca's made more tactical tweaks to the team, now that we've seen Palmer move to the left-hand side at times, it means that Madueke's game now has evolved and been a bit different. He is now tasked with the responsibility of holding the width by himself a lot of times. Now, this is where he showcases that Noni is more than just a winger who gets his head down and puts the cross in the box, because you need to be able to keep possession of the ball, and that's something Noni can do. You're playing against teams now that are holding their shape, playing with low blocks. The game is now tighter. The spaces are now more restricted, and Noni is showing that he can play a different type of game, and I'm sure the goals and assists will come to really just do justice to the good team performances that he's currently putting in. Most wingers can't contribute without space in their game, but Noni is not one of those guys. There's a reason why Maresca is using him week in, week out, because I think he brings the best balance down the right-hand side currently. I wasn't expecting 15 goals and 15 assists from Noni this season. I think that's very unfair for anyone to have expectations that high, but I do believe that he can become a player that could get closer to hitting numbers like that. He's providing great balance for this team, and I feel like I've seen players like Timo Werner do less than half the things Noni does and get praise for the teamwork, and I've never really liked how certain players can get praise for aspects like that and other players get vilified for that. So my friends, let's try and see the bigger picture, and I hope you guys enjoyed the 5 things we learned in our 2-1 win against Leicester City. So I hope you guys enjoy. See you all tomorrow, and thank you to you guys who wished me a quick recovery. I'm still not perfect, but hopefully in the next few days I'm gonna get there. So see you all soon. Cool.